The review committee on our city ordinances, which consist of Cheryl, Councilwoman Cheryl, Tom Guston, and myself, will be going over reviewing our city ordinance along with our new zoning administrator. And after the meeting, we'll get together and see what date that would be possible. Some of our ordinances are outdated, and you know, time marches on, just like everything does, and the big changes need to be addressed to them. And it's just like I always say, you know, I used to have brown hair, but the only time I have it now is out of a bottle, dye bottle. So that's it.
Very good, thank you. Building and zoning update, I don't see, yes I do. I see Mr. C.
We had 1% of our activity was commercial permits, 14% was complaints, consults and meetings were 59%, and residential permits were 26%. And of those, I can join the club now. Okay. Commercial permit was 1, building complaints were 6, code enforcement complaints were 9, consulting with building and etc. was 33, consulting with building code enforcement was 1, consult meeting in regards to zoning was 28, residential demolition permits were 3, residential electrical permits were 3, residential new rehabilitation permits were 9, and roofing permits were a total of 12. That's it.
Very good. Stayed busy. Thank you.
Hey, Mr. Chairman, what Councilwoman Torrance was talking to you about, she and I did have a conversation on the phone because of some of the things that we have been finding in the Code of Ordinances to update. To give you an example of why we feel it's urgent to get back into looking at these ordinances, if you look in your code book in the 116 section, there are a lot of things that I think need to be brought into the 21st century. If you look at 116.06, let's start there. Any person intending to have a secondhand sale shall inform the health officer of the intended sale and shall, through the health officer, cause to be disinfected all goods and shall pay all necessary expenses for issuing the permit and the disinfecting of the goods. Now, this was in 1917, and back then, you know, you had a lot of different diseases, you know, might have been polio or cholera or different diseases that were more prevalent. There's also one here in 11609 where it says it shall be unlawful for any person to sell or give away any personal wearing apparel which is meant on any person at any time while that person had a contagious or communicable disease. Nor shall that person sell or give away any wearing apparel or household furniture of any kind or description which is meant in the house or place of habitation at any time where a person situated in a house or place of habitation has had a contagious or communicable disease. This goes through there. There are other sections that I highlighted there for you. Secondhand stores, you have to disinfect all your goods. So that means everybody who, you know, we had that secondhand store discussion a month or so ago, and, you know, this would come into really putting a burden on a lot of things. You know, we don't have the diseases today as we once did and the contagious diseases that once plagued society. So these are the types of things that really need to be addressed and brought out. Many others are in that book. So that is the reason why I asked to have this placed on here, just to give an example of what is in the book and why we need to go in there and get a lot of these things corrected. So that paper that you have there is just a copy of that section so you can see how outdated we really are. So, any questions on that? All righty, we'll get into unfinished business here. First item is ordinance number 26, 2013.
An ordinance to appropriate from the unappropriated general fund to the police department $6,000.
ordinance number 26, 2013.
Second.
Has been moved by Councilman Croscoff, second by Councilman Guston to adopt ordinance 26, 2013. Questions? Chief?
Yeah. Obviously, our overtime budget is now around $4,000. We have another OPO event coming up, which will probably be around $3,000 for overtime. We will get a grant to return that money to the fund at some point, but I want to be able to make sure we have enough to cover till the end of the year in the event that we have any emergencies or snow events like we had the tornado and have to call people in. So any of that money that's not used, we will return to the general fund after the end of the year.
Any questions?
What is an OPO event?
Operation Pullover.
Thank you.
Sorry.
It's all right.
And in the budget for overtime, we currently only put what we believe we will receive in OPO dollars. So really what's budget dollars, and that's grant money that we receive through OPO. So outside of grant money, we're really not spending dollars on overtime unless we have to ask for an additional. And like Joni said, if this isn't used, then it goes right back, so
Is that a federal grant or a state grant?
state.
Leave it.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Any questions from the audience? Roll call.
Alley?
Yes.
Goff?
Yes.
Greer?
Yes.
Guston?
Yes.
Crosskoff?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Torrance?
Yes,
Next item is ordinance number 28, 2013.
This time I'd like to remove item ordinance number 28, 2013 from the agenda. I've been made aware that it's not ready to move forward.
Second.
Okay. All righty. We'll move on to ordinance number 29, 2013.
An ordinance to appropriate from the unappropriated aviation fund to the aviation budget the sum of $7,250.
Move we adopt ordinance number 29, 2013. Second.
Has been moved by Councilman Croscoff, second by Councilman Goff, to adopt ordinance 29, 2013. Questions? I believe we have two gentlemen here from the aviation, if you have questions for them. Any questions?
What are we using the $250 for?
The Aviation Board actually took over the airport as of August. Since then, or through the end of the year, we're going to have about $8,700 additional maintenance that was not quite in the budget, and we'll have $4,680 in capital investments of items that the FBO supplied the airport, which we're now having to go back and buy, i.e. mower. We found that our fire extinguishers were way out of date and we need a new one, that type of thing.
Okay, Mike, you might explain when you say the aviation board has taken over the airport. I mean, they've always been the managers of that, but you might explain that the FBO is not.
The FBO managed the airport basically, and we, the city, paid the FBO for that management service. The FBO also collected the hangar rents. The hangar rents are now going back to the city as opposed to the FBO. So there's some additional income, and the hangar rents right now amount to annually $15,360, which is coming back into the city's budget. We have an additional $9,600 if we rented all of our hangars. So the possibility between current hangar rent, farm rent, and additional hangar rent, we could have a possible income back to the city of $41,710.
Now, just in case anybody's wondering, when we say FBO, that's what that stands for. And they're the ones that manages, right now the board is doing all the management, therefore saving the budget, the cost of the fixed base operator. That's why they'll have a little extra money to put into capital projects.
And not really back to the city's budget. It goes back into the aviation budget. So any of those extras that are receipted in are receipted into the aviation budget, not technically like the city's general fund or that. It is aviation money and stays in the aviation budget.
So because the FBO is no longer there, we're saving that expense. So we're taking money out of what we would normally pay him and using it for these improvements?
Yeah, but Kurt, we found that there was a lot of maintenance that we needed to catch up. Also, we had no LP gas. The furnace hasn't been serviced in a number of years. There is a strong possibility that we might need a new furnace, but we're just going to try to piece it together for this year. And next year's budget next year's budget, we shouldn't have a problem at all.
There is somebody still being paid, though, out there for, it's not a fixed base operator, but there is somebody out there that's managing the airport during the day. So there are still dollars out of what was budgeted to pay the FBO. Some of those dollars are still being used for an individual to manage. He's just getting paid, he's working on contract and getting paid a flat rate.
Okay.
At a considerable savings. Any other questions? Questions from the audience? Roll call.
Ally?
Yes.
Goff?
Yes.
Greer?
Yes.
Guston?
Yes.
Crosskopf?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Torrance?
Yes.
Motion carries. Next item is ordinance number 31, 2013.
An ordinance establishing a complete streets program for the city of Prue, Indiana.
I move we consider ordinance number 31, 2013.
Second that.
It's been moved by Councilman Crosskopf, second by Councilwoman Torrance, to consider ordinance 31, 2013. Roll call.
Ally?
Yes.
Goff?
Yes.
Greer?
Yes.
Guston?
Yes.
Crosskopf?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Torrance?
Yes.
Move we adopt ordinance number 31, 2013.
Second.
Has been moved by Councilman Crosskopf, second by Councilman Guston, to adopt ordinance 31, 2013. Questions? This is are working on, and Mark Demchek is here tonight. He has some experience or knowledge of complete streets, and so I'm going to invite him to come up and talk to you here in a second. But what we're trying to do is find ways that we can make improvements to our streets, maybe have some additional funding, but the overall goal is to make it safer for kids that are walking to schools, because we have some areas of town where there are no sidewalks. Kids are walking in the streets. So we're trying to make a little safer routes for them to get to school, better lighting. Also, when we do complete streets, you look at the possibility of putting bike lanes in those streets so that those who are riding bikes to school or people who ride bikes, adults that are riding bikes can have a bike lane to use that as well. So basically it's a program that before we do anything to certain streets that we identify as complete streets, we think of all options available to those streets before we make a final design to make them more usable to all vehicular traffic and those, any other mode of transportation that may be used, whether it's walking, bicycling, things of that nature. So that's kind of an overview of it. Mark, if you want to step to the microphone, please, and share some of your thoughts and knowledge on this, I'd appreciate it.
First, thank you for considering this. I've been working on healthy living activities for quite a number of years through the YMCA. The last Y I was at, we also worked on a complete streets policy for the city of Kendallville. There are a number of benefits for complete streets. Economic development, make roads safer, there's fewer accidents on the road, pedestrian versus car accidents. But what really draws me to this type of policy is the health benefits. As some of you know, we've been working on a new YMCA for the community, and I've been doing a little research. And there's a few health statistics that I want to bring to your attention. This is from County Health Rankings, which is an organization. It's a nonprofit organization with University of Wisconsin and Robert Woods Johnson Foundation. They do rankings on all kinds of different health factors for every county in the country. Miami County on health behaviors. So this is things like levels of obesity, how much physically active we are, levels of smoking. Miami County in 2013 ranked as 85th in 92 counties. In 2010, we were 65th. Our obesity rate is 32% now in the county. That's raised 4 points in the last couple of years. 31% are physically inactive. We can't slip much further than that. So at the YMCA, we certainly are working on healthy living. We're also working on ways we can improve community wellness, which is a true community wellness. To move that needle, we need more than just the Y, more than just the hospital, more than just city government. It really is a coalition of people that can help with that. This Complete Streets policy is developed in that same light. There's dozens of folks from other nonprofits, from the mayor's office, business owners that got together, and we brought some resources in from the State Department of Health and other folks in Indiana to really look at what Complete Streets is all about, and that's the policy that's in front of you now. For me, it does two things. One, it gets us together as a community to talk about these kinds of issues, something that we're very strongly interested in. And I'm happy to report that a community countywide wellness coalition is forming right now for our first meeting last month, in part because of this Complete Streets work that we did. Second thing, another reason I really appreciate Complete Streets policies is it does put the personal responsibility back into healthy living. I know from my work in the YMCA that people seeking health have to make changes in their lives, but it's an internal change. We can't just tell them to do 30 minutes on the treadmill, 6 rounds on the bench press, and expect them to get better. They have to choose that. Complete Streets allows a community like Peru to put into ordinance the requirement to look at every mode of transportation for those people who want to be physically active. So sidewalks for people who want to walk, bike lanes for people who want to bike, and I understand we have quite a few bikers in town now. Because it is something that you put into ordinance, it's something that doesn't go away easily. So future generations will benefit from this policy. Because it allows us to choose whether to be physically inactive or not, this policy lets the choice be made. I've certainly been in communities where there aren't sidewalks, there aren't bike paths. Folks are a lot less likely to get out and walk and bike if they don't have that safe route. So, Mayor Walker probably overestimates my experience in Complete Streets, but I'd be happy to take any questions that you might have, and I'll do my best to answer them.
This whole thing, it's what we need.
Well, there's definitely going to be some expense involved with sidewalk, putting in sidewalks in places, painting bike lanes. Is funding available?
Well, I think that there's a provision in the policy that allows you to make an exception. In other words, if your project is going to really go over budget because of sidewalk costs or bike lanes, or frankly, if the road is too narrow, it doesn't require the city to put in bike lanes and sidewalks where that doesn't make any sense. There are more than ever, Complete Streets isn't just a community-based thing. It really is a state and a national organization that's putting these things together. What they're finding that there really aren't that much more in costs to do these improvements because you're dealing with the road width no matter what. And where there isn't funding, you just back away from it. And maybe instead of a separate bike lane, you just make sure that there's a route painted on the asphalt. Maybe there can't be sidewalks on both sides because of funding, so you just do it on one side. There's a lot of creative ways to save those dollars, and I know this community has a strong tradition in doing that. There are more resources than ever before from our state to help us with this, and I do know that the state of Indiana is working on a statewide Complete Streets policy so that any state road built will meet these specifications. I can't predict funding, but I think Complete Streets policy allows us to compete for funding more effectively than if we don't have that policy in place.
Yeah, that's the main thing. If you are identified as a complete streets community, when you look for the funding accessible to you because you have already identified yourself as a complete streets community versus we're just a community looking for other funding, but we're not complete streets or some of the other programs. So it does help you out with the funding. That's not a guarantee you're always going to get what you're asking for, but it does open up the door for more funding.
The future in Indiana definitely is, NDOT is moving towards this as their specification. More and more communities are looking at this. At some point, I wouldn't be surprised if they were really asked strongly to adopt these types of policies.
Any other questions? Or do we have any questions from the audience? We'd like to hear your concerns or questions if you do have any. So. No more questions?
Yeah, I have no questions. Are there any
Stan?
towns nearby that have complete, or is this?
Yes, I want to say Columbus, Indiana. There's a couple towns, smaller towns, in the middle of the state that have done this. There are a number of others that are considering it. There's even Valparaiso actually is complete streets before there was complete streets.
How long of a project is it?
There's no time difference. The idea is that as you have a street that needs to be repaired, you then look at, aside from just putting asphalt down, what else can you do to make that thoroughfare more connected for pedestrians and bike riders and in bigger communities, transit vehicles and those kinds of things.
To give you an idea, Stan, if we look at some streets, and we have looked at streets, we'd like to see segments already, but if we can make a bike lane there so that if people are using the trail and they come through the city, what streets would be easy access for them where they stay out of a lot of the traffic, more safe for them, that those streets would tie in good with extending the trail or give them an alternative route. Prue's also been, has identified with the U.S. Bike Route 35, and that comes right through town, so this could tie in with a lot of that as well for having bicycle traffic going through there. For me, I also look at the safety for the kids. We have areas, as I said, no sidewalks, or maybe one side, not the other. Lighting is poor. And this time of year, they go to school and they're walking in the dark. So I'd look at those things as being where the need is at as well. So we do have some identified. How we go forward, we are getting cost estimates now. We're going to be taking some photographs so that the folks at the Complete Streets down at Indianapolis can kind of help us with what would be the best way to improve this area for those types of things. So a lot of different benefits for it.
Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
I want to thank you for something, too. I want to thank you for coming up to the lectern and talking where everybody can hear you and everything.
You're welcome.
Okay. That is something that I think needs to be addressed more, you know, not only for us up here, but for the TV audience as well. Use that. Anybody want to know where I picked that term up? I got a daughter that's an English lit teacher. She works
Okay.
on me sometimes, but it don't always help.
Any other questions? Roll call.
Ally?
Yes.
Goff?
Yes?
Greer?
Yes.
Guston?
Yes.
Crosskoff?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Torrance?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. Anything else under unfinished? Seeing none, we'll move into new business. The city council has a couple of appointments. And there, I think you did get paperwork on those. So, Mr. Chairman, if you want to make your appointments to that, and then you also have an appointment on the Peru Utility Service Board that needs to be taken care of. So if you want to take those next items.
Yes, we do. For you, you have letters from Glenn Russell and Dave Moon requesting that we consider reappointing them to the Peru City Cable Committee. Both Mr. Moon and Mr. Russell have served on that committee for probably 20 years. Where is that noise coming from?
I bumped this. about this.
No.
I don't know about that.
Not me.
They both served on the committee for 20 years. I think they've done a good job, and so I would entertain a motion to reappoint Mr. Moon and Mr. Russell.
I second that.
I need the motion first.
Oh, you need the motion?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were making it.
No, I would entertain a motion. Okay, thank you.
I move that we reappoint Glenn Russell and Dave Moon to the Cable Committee.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion from anybody up here on the,
Are they here tonight? Both of them?
Mr. Moon is here.
Oh, okay. You are Mr. Moon.
He's here every
And
time,
then-
so. And Mr. Russell, as you can see, is very familiar with the cable industry, having been the general manager of the local system before it got shipped out east, so.
I might add, due to their efforts, we have a new sound system in here, and we have a new setup for the cable program. They've done a bang-up job.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, you want a roll call, I guess?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Ollie?
Aye. Yes.
Goff?
Yes.
Greer?
Yes.
Guston?
Yes.
Crosskoff?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Torrance?
Yes.
Congratulations, Dave.
Thanks.
Congratulations, Mr. Russell, wherever you may be.
Yes.
Okay, then we have a council appointment to the Peru Utility Board. Stan Akers, and Stan Akers is here tonight. Stan, as you can see on his letter for reappointment, has served on the Utility Service Board for 16 years. He's done a wonderful job. There have been a lot of changes and rate modifications and things like that when Stan's here, and I think he's done a very good job. Stan, would you like to say anything on your behalf other than what you put in the letter? You have to come up to the microphone so Phyllis will be happy.
To the lectern, Kurt.
Pressure's on.
The lectern.
The lectern.
Yeah.
You could pass the microphone back.
I don't have really anything to add, except I like serving with the Peru Utilities. I think they're wonderful. I think the people who work there are wonderful. I like working with this body here, and I'm looking forward to another 4 years, should you vote in that manner. And I'm always available if anyone has any questions that they can't get satisfied through normal channels. They can contact me, and I'll make sure some sort of a reply gets to them and gets to them quickly. And we have most of the board that I know of keep in mind that the ratepayers are the ones we're working for. And in my experience on the board, I've never heard one negative comment regarding ratepayers or anyone else as far as that goes. If there were such a comment made, they would probably hear from me. So that's it. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you for your application.
I move we reappoint Stan Akers
I'll
to
second
the
it.
Utilities Board.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Do we have any discussion? Any questions for Mr. Akers?
Who made that second?
Gabe?
Terry?
Terry.
Okay.
Terry, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Any discussion, questions for Mr. Akers? Okay, roll call.
Ally?
Yes.
Goff?
Yes.
Greer?
Yes.
Guston?
Yes.
Crosskoff?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Torrance?
Yes.
Thank you, Stan. Congratulations.
Thank you.
1 more years.
Okay, that is all we have on the agenda. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to have a say to the city council or anything to be brought before this body? Seeing none.
Well, I
If
just have a
not,
question. We have a number of young people in the audience, but is there any particular reason you've chosen to spend your Monday evening with us?
government class?
Yeah.
It's an assignment. Okay.
So do you have any questions about what you've seen this evening that might enter? Are you doing a report?
We have to either write an assignment or write a paper about court cases, or we had to come and take notes on this.
good. So you're going to give glowing remarks, right? Attaboy. Well, if we have nothing else come before this body, this our last meeting before Thanksgiving holiday comes around. So I wish all of you a very happy Thanksgiving for you and your family. And we'll have some more information. We have a couple ordinances that we have written that's going to be coming to you next month concerning truck routes and things of that nature. So we'll get those to you as quickly as possible so you can review those. Yes, Mr. Gaffney?
I would like to invite everyone to the Jazz Festival this next weekend. It's going to be
This weekend, yeah.
This next weekend.
Yeah, the Dick Wigley concert, Peru High School?
Yes.
Friday, Saturday, what times?
7 o'clock,
Both nights.
both nights.
Yeah.
If you've never been, you're really missing something. So,
Yeah, there's, Saturday night's more serious than Friday nights. Just kidding. It's enjoyable. So, yeah. Okay, anything else? Okay, if not, a motion to adjourn be in order.
so moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? We're out.